So what I've got here today, some assembly instructions for some new models. So I thought maybe to break things up a little, instead of painting the same thing over and over, I thought I might put some of these together. So I've got this is the Overlord. If you're not familiar with this game, it's this is like a leader of this army. I do really like putting characters together. Yeah, characters, I guess, unique models, or you don't have the same thing over and over. It's always a little bit different. The way these things are built these days, it's generally pretty easy to throw them together. So I think everything's designed on a computer these days. Although I will say that these models have, I think they may even be called like a easy fit, easy build, or I think the idea is that you can effectively build these things without glue. You just sort of snap them together. But that means you get some really fiddly little bits. I mean, look at that. It's if you've got fingers like mine, then it's prone to snapping or bending. They look great, but they can be a little bit flimsy. I tend to like things being pretty robust, because I guess I'm a bit of a brute. But anyway, they still look very cool. Have you ever had a time where you're sort of particularly productive? You know, These last probably 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. You know, when I'm not working, I've found I've been checking off a lot of my to-do list, getting things done. And I guess there's a certain momentum to that. Where you you just want to keep that rolling. So that's what I've been doing. I think what it's telling me is this part. This part looks like a spine. I think it sort of connects in like this. Yeah. Somehow. I'm pretty sure these bits go here. And that probably connects to something down here. There we go. So he's sort of holding this weapon. Now I've done it. Okay. Let's see if my glue is blocked. Oh, there it is. So, get a bit in here, a bit there. I'll even put a bit back in. There we go. Probably shouldn't be using this glue in a room with a closed door, but yeah, it's pretty funky stuff. But whatever, I'll survive. Now, this is the front of the model. And that head connects here somewhere. It's a little bit tricky. So this goes in the front. It connects there. But maybe like this. Ah, there we go. It's like a puzzle. There we go. That goes in there. And that connects there. Okay, and then this presses onto the front of that. Probably about there. So I'm going to need a bit more glue. Oh, there we go. Very good. And this goes on his hand. I think it's like that, and it connects up the back. Okay. So I'll get a bit of glue there. Bit of glue there. Just along like that. It's actually a very easy model to build. I don't think I make it look easy, but that's okay. There we have it. He's got his blade, his hand weapon. I have to put him on a base. So this guy goes onto a 40mm round base, and he's got some little pegs to plug into these holes. So I'll just glue him in. Now, some people say you should put texture on your bases before you put the models in, or attach the models. I agree, but with these guys, the texture I'm using, or at least you should put texture down before you spray, like you start painting them. And that's what I agree with, because these guys, the texture I use is very basic. It's like a paint that cracks, and it looks like, well, you may have seen it before, but it looks like cracked earth, and you just paint it on. But I also put some little rocks and things, but this model already has that. So as far as modelling concerned, he's finished. It looks pretty cool. So I'll move on to this fella. The Royal Warden. Which I'm guessing is like a guy who sort of looks out for the royals or something. Just looking at these models on the sprue, this sprue, I think they've sort of, at least for this, slightly changed the formula for the resin they're using for injection molding. So these would be polypropylene with a very high melt flow index, because they're so detailed you need inside the mould in the machine, you need the material, this resin, to flow into all those little nooks and crannies, and in order for it to do that, you need a type of resin that will flow. Some resins are sort of more viscous when they're melted than others, but having built quite a lot of these models in the past, you sort of get familiar with the material, and this material feels slightly different. It's like it's got a different additive rate of something. It's more springy, which I guess it's good for detail in a sense, but it tends to deform more easier. So the normal resin is a little bit brittler. Which can be a bit less forgiving. So maybe they've used this resin because it's supposed to be this easy fit sort of thing, and they want the resin to be able to lock in, which means it needs a little bit of stretch. Which, I think to achieve that, you probably select a slightly different resin. And maybe use even less additive. So the plastic that goes into making these things is naturally, it's sort of clear. It's cloudy, but it's still relatively transparent. So in order to get the grey plastic, you have to add something in the process. It's called a master batch, and it's basically just an extra resin with a very high pigment concentration, and that pigment tints the rest of the resin you're using. So we start with this. Just plugs into his back. Nice and simple. Then we put this part through there, so through that hole, and we put this part doesn't look particularly obvious. Maybe like that. Oh yeah. Interesting. Okay, so this forms like a connected cape or something, something that hangs off his arm, and it connects all the way around, just like that. See that? That's pretty cool. Okay. And this goes on and pushes all the way through. There's my clumsy fingers again. There we go. Okay. So this connects to 3 different points. Which is good. Let's come up right there. Okay. Now I'm just going to connect this chest piece. So I might put him down for a sec. And last but not least, I'll just clean this up. This is his head. So these guys are these are Necrons, which you may have seen before. They're like space skeletons. You know, robot skeleton. And he needs to go to a base as well. He sits on a 32mm base. Just like that. Okay. Glue on the bottom. And there we go. I think his back foot is meant to be flat. So I might hold him down or something, let that glue stick. So yeah, maybe not the best view, but I'm going to keep my fingers on there. And that is that.